Good morning and welcome back to another episode of the TRC How-To series. I'm your host CDB, and today we're going to be discussing how to execute a traditional 3-pass shave. And what is a traditional 3-pass shave? Traditionally, the first pass is to go with the grain or with the grain of your beard growth, across the grain, and finally against the grain. Now, first thing you're going to have to do is map your beard growth to figure out in which direction it is running. For me, the grain runs down this way on the cheeks and it runs across this way on my neck. Now, I actually don't go against the grain on my neck, and we'll talk a little bit about that later, but let's go ahead and get into the shave today and we'll just demonstrate how it's done. Today, we're going to be using Shannon's Pineapple Banana, which is carried by the Razor Company on the Razor Company website. Beautiful, strongly scented soap, pineapple forward, very good quality stuff, amazing scent. We're going to be using the Edwin Jagger. This is the DE86, excuse me. This is a razor that a lot of new folks use, the DE89 style head, which is mild, it's forgiving, and in that we have a Gillette Platinum blade loaded. And let's go ahead and apply some moisture to the face, which you're going to want to do. We have standard 24 hours growth today, which I hope you can see there. And what I'm doing with the mister here is just applying a little water to my face. I've already got the lather made in my Captain's Choice lathering bowl, and I'm using today the Razor Rock 400 shaving brush. Now, if you want to know how I lather this soap, I'll put some tutorials down below this video in the description, and you can see how I do it. I have tutorials both on the Razor Company and on my YouTube channel, which is at imcdb.com. All right, so first, obviously, we want to apply the lather to our face and get a nice coating of lather. It doesn't have to be super slick. It doesn't have to be super thick. I mean to say, it definitely needs to be slick. Slickness is key, in my opinion, in executing a great shave. And again, the blade we're going to be using today in our Edwin Jagger DE86 is Gillette Platinum, which also can be found on the Razor Company's website. So what you want to do is just paint that lather on. Whatever method you use of lathering, fine. Whether you're face lathering or lathering in a bowl, it doesn't really matter. As long as you get a nice coating of lather on your face, which is slick, it will allow the razor to do what it needs to do. Okay, let me set that aside and rinse that off. And of course, we're going to make sure our hands are nice and dry. That's always key. We don't want to be operating a razor with wet hands and potentially let it slip and drop the razor, or worse, have it fall and cut us, or something like that. So always try to keep your hands dry. And we're going to start with the grain, which sometimes you'll see in the forums, WTG, that is with the grain or with the direction of your growth. And here we have our Edwin Jagger, and we're just going to find a nice comfortable angle and just begin our strokes. And we'll move the razor over as we make our strokes. Now, when you're new, make sure your shaving area is only with the lather. As time passes and you gain some experience, you can go back like I am and sort of hit those areas, again, using residual slickness or the slickness that's left behind by the soap. And we're just going to continue going with the grain. Now, actually on my neck right now, because my grain runs this way and there's some swirls, it's actually across the grain. And so the traditional 3 passes is not written in stone. You have to do what works best for you, and that comes from experience. You'll find over time what works best for you. The one thing that I urge you to do is listen to your face. What do I mean by that? It means your face will give you feedback in what it likes and does not. Like if you're getting a lot of irritation, you're having a lot of problems, that's your face telling you it doesn't like something you're doing. So listen to it. Excuse me. And if you're having rough shaves, allow your face to rest a little bit and recuperate before you go back at it. When you're shaving in this traditional style, it takes some time for your face to adjust. So give it a few weeks. Don't be discouraged if early on it's not as good as you would like. Over time, your face will adjust and it will feel much better. Trust me, when I first started, the the first week or so, it didn't feel too good. You know, your face needs time to adjust to this style of shaving, which is very different from using a car. And you're trying to do it in 3 passes, meaning you're not trying to get it all in 1 pass. So what we're doing here, we did the with the grain pass, then we're going to re-lather, and on our next pass we'll go across the grain. Now, across the grain, you'll often see expressed in the forums and so on as XTG, across the grain. And let's go ahead and re-lather here with our Shannons. This is a beautiful, if you like pineapple, this is beautiful. The banana in this is definitely in the background, but the pineapple is very prominent, and this is a strongly scented soap. Like, it will fill the bathroom, and it is a good quality soap. Shannons is one of the best soaps in the market, in my opinion, and comes at one of the best prices. And so it is really a fine quality soap. And I've got a lot of hydration in here, which you want. Hydration is key to slickness. As long as you get some good hydration in your lather, you'll be fine. Now, you can get too much, so just be careful. Experiment. Experimentation is really what it's all about. But when you're experimenting, listen to your face. If it's reacting, if you're getting a lot of redness and irritation, that means something is going wrong, or it's just not used to what you're doing. So it may take some time. All right, let's rinse off here. And then we'll go across the grain, which is the traditional second pass. Now, none of this is a prescriptive, formula. Sorry, I'm tongue twisted today. If you find you benefit from doing only 2 passes, or if you find from going in a different direction, that is entirely okay. It's completely up to you. It's really about learning what works best for you. But traditionally, the second pass is across the grain. So my grain runs down this way on my cheeks. Across the grain is this way. So I always start out right here, and then I'll go across the grain. Second pass. The name of the game here is progressive beard reduction. In other words, we're not trying to do it all in 1 pass, as we probably did, or as most of us did when we used a cartridge style razor. This is about taking more time, luxuriating, just having a nice comfortable shave, and not trying to do it all at once. Making sure we're reapplying the lather. Now on my neck here, this happens to be across the grain too. So actually, the way I do my passes is with the grain on the cheeks, but it's across the grain on the neck. Across the grain on the cheeks, across the grain on the neck, and against the grain on the cheeks, across the grain on the neck. So with my neck is where the toughest beard growth is, but it's also the most sensitive part of my face. So I don't go this way on my neck, which is against the grain. It just doesn't work well for me. And you may find that that's the case for you in certain parts of your face. So if you do, just make the necessary adjustments and do what your face will allow you to do. That's what I call listening to your face. And so early on, I would go against the grain and I would have all sorts of irritation and weepers. And I just learned that my particular face and my type of growth just doesn't like that. So I do 3 across the grain passes essentially on my neck. But traditionally, you would do again with the grain, across the grain, and against the grain. But please be open to making adjustments. It's not a prescriptive formula that you have to follow, but I will give you the basics of it, and then you can take it and adjust it and use it in a way that allows you to get the best shave possible. So that second pass was outstanding. The soap is doing its job, the razor's doing its job, and of course I'm doing my job, which is the most important part of it. The single most important thing when it comes to shaving in the traditional style is your technique and making sure that you're wielding the equipment, you're making a slick lather, that you're being careful with your razor, that you're holding it at an angle where it cuts effectively, and that you're making choices in your gear that work well for you. So you may have a very sensitive face and you may not enjoy super efficient razors, and that's okay. Use the equipment that works best for your situation. That will account for a lot of what is required to get a really, really excellent traditional style shave. Making good choices How do you figure out what works best? It's just trial and error, honestly. There's going to be a trial and error period where you're going to have to just try things and see how it works. And you may find that you can do your shave in the 100% traditional fashion, or you may find you have to make some modifications to allow yourself to get the best possible result. And that is entirely okay. The main thing is to enjoy this time, because this period of time here where I'm putting this lather on my face just feels nice. It's just pampering, luxuriating, and this is why many of us do this as a hobby. And so if you're new, welcome. And I hope that over time, you too will be a hobbyist and will enjoy shaving this way. Magnificent soap here, the Shannon's really good quality stuff. Not very pricey, and it always hits the spot for me. Okay, let's rinse all this off. And again, just do what works best for you in all situations. So traditionally, the final pass is against the grain. So in whichever direction your grain runs, if it runs down this way, against the grain would be that way. Again, make sure you map your beard first so you'll know which way the grain runs, because it's not the same for everyone. And some folks, like me, even have some swirls on my neck, so it runs in all sorts of different directions. So the easiest way to map your beard growth is to allow it to grow out for a couple of days and then look in the mirror, or maybe take some close-up photos, and then you can see how your beard growth is going. And definitely on my cheeks here, this is against the grain. And that is typically the most aggressive cutting action when you're going against the grain. But again, on my neck, it's across the grain. So from experience, I learned that that's what worked best for me. And you will also have to experiment and figure out how the passes go. Some folks don't do 3 passes. It is the traditional way of doing it, but not everybody does that. Some folks do only 2 passes. Some folks do only 1, but the key here is progressive beard reduction. So we would encourage you to try not to do it all in one pass. A little bit at a time, sort of getting at it from different directions is what allows these shaves to have such an excellent result. And once you get used to it, having things irritation free and just feeling great. So you get finished with your shave and you're just refreshed and feeling great, and it's a nice, close, comfortable shave, oftentimes called a baby butt smooth, or BBS. And there's another level, it's called DFS, or darn fine shave, which means maybe it's not baby butt smooth, but it's perfectly socially acceptable. And so some folks want to shoot for that BBS, and some folks want to shoot for that just darn fine shave, meaning the visible growth is by and large removed, but maybe if you ran your hand over, you might feel a few spots here and there. So that's darn fine shave. But a lot of folks go for BBS. My advice to you is just do whatever is enjoyable and works well. Some folks can't really achieve BBS without a lot of irritation, and so they go for DFS, and that's perfectly fine. But I do recommend that you try this traditional 3-pass way of doing things, at least to start, and then sort of modify your routine from there. But one thing I want to say is, if you're having one of these 3-pass shaves and it starts to feel rough, or you're starting to feel irritation, stop. Listen to your face. When it's telling you you've done too much, you've done too much. Stop. It takes time to adjust, and likely over time, you'll be able to do 3 passes. I think for most people that is the case. So just take it slow, take it easy, and understand it's progressive beard reduction. You're not trying to do it all in the first pass. That's why you have 2 more passes to follow it with. Okay, that was really nice and enjoyable. Let me rinse, then we'll come back and get into the post shave. Stay tuned. All right, and we are back. And typically I would do these steps off cam, but today I'll show you. I'm using the PAA alum block, but you can buy an alum block here on the Razor Company website. And what I do is rinse all the soap off my face, and I will just use the alum block and apply it to the face. And what you'll notice is, if you got a little close in some places, you'll feel a little stingy. Now today for me, no stinging whatsoever. So no problem at all. This alum block works as sort of an astringent, and It will also help soothe any irritation if you have any. Not everyone enjoys alum block, but I do. And I'm just feeling around, just sort of rubbing in the area I've shaved. If you get a little stinging, that means maybe you got a little close, but no big deal. What I'll do now is I'll rinse that off and then we'll come right back. All right, and we are back in off cam. We just rinsed the alum off with cold water, and now we're going to follow up with Thayer's witch hazel. This is cucumber, and the witch hazel will soothe any irritation if we had any, and the aloe is good for skincare. And I just usually put it in a spray bottle like this, and I'll just apply it to my face, and I'll just lightly run my hands over it, just to sort of work it in just a little bit, and then we'll let that set and do its thing, and then we'll review the equipment we used today. Shannon Soap's Pineapple Banana, strongly scented, very bright pineapple forward. I absolutely loved it. We used the Edwin Jagger DE86, which you can find here on the Razor Company's website, which will be linked below, with Gillette Platinum Blade. We used the Razor Rock 400 brush with synthetic knot, which also can be found at the Razor Company. And we're going to finish things out today with Shannon Soap's Pina Colada, which also has a bright and invigorating scent. I hope you folks have an excellent day today. Thanks so much for joining. We're just going to apply our aftershave here, and we're going to be off to the races and having a great day. Thank you so much for joining. Until next time, I've been your host, CDB, on behalf of the Razor Company, reminding you, it's your shave, do it your way, and have a great day.